Welcome to Extracting the Essential of Digestion. Part one is going from nutrition to nourishment. And this little nuance woke up as an insight from one of my first teachers, my first mentors, Dr. Bali, who mentioned it's not what the food does to your body, it's what the body does to the food. And just the sound of that sounded so true, and I really took to it. And then as I continued to explore the physiology of the body, the digestive system, the nervous system, it makes perfect sense. And I'll go into a bit more elaborate. If you've watched my video on the nervous system and the 5 common senses, this is what we're going to be focusing on today, applying the 5 senses to the meal, to the food that we're eating. And oftentimes, maybe it's true for you, we run from the office to the table, and before we even realize that the meal's already done. And oftentimes we're even having the TV screen on or some other distraction, and we don't even realize that we're in the process of eating. This can send, let's say, mixed signals to the nervous system. It doesn't know if it should continue to be on mode and continue to process what we're doing at work, or if it should be on digestive mode and process the food that we just ate or that we're eating. And if we look at the 5 senses, just very simply, the sense of sight. When I'm in front of my computer screen and doing some work, the input from the computer screen is very different than when I'm in the car and driving along a moving object, a moving target, so to speak. And that requires different processing centers of the brain, as does when I'm sitting in front of my meal with all these different colors and textures and odors. The input that's coming into the brain and into the nervous system, which will then give input to the digestive system, they're all very different modes. All are very important. And what we want to highlight for today's video is how do we adapt from, let's say, work mode, drive mode, fill in the blank, to eating mode, and not just eating. How do I actually get nourishment from what I'm eating? And just as Dr. Bal reminded us, we can be eating the best food, local, organic, healthy, and if our system isn't able to extract the nourishment, we don't get the nutrition from what we just ate. Very simply, one of the simplest ways to adapt, and again, if you watch the video on the 5 common senses in the nervous system, the main function in terms of survival is adaptation. And this can be adapted into many different understandings and many different contexts. They all apply. Today's focus is on how to adapt to the digestive process in order to extract the nourishment, the good stuff, from what I'm eating. And so very simply, you can practice this either now with me and simulate being in front of a meal, or you can just go grab an apple or a snack, something that you would like to explore and experiment this on. You can even do it with a glass of water. And so once you're seated comfortably, I invite you to stay seated when you're eating. Once you're seated comfortably, again, just take a tour of the body and double check that everything's set up for ease. There's not too much effort or tension in the position you've chosen. And then just, a couple of breaths, remembering that the breath for the nervous system is the most important of our vital signs. In terms of survival, breath is number 1. So just taking a couple of breaths. If possible, allow those to be abdominal breaths, belly breaths. Those are very relaxing for the nervous system. And it just so happens that all our digestive organs are in the belly. So we're just waking up the circulation and the functioning in these regions. And once you've taken a couple of breaths or a few breaths by now, I invite you to be in front of the item you've chosen. I have this delicious bowl over here. And first I'm going to use the sense of sight. And so I can actually just take my eyes off the screen and look at what's in front of me. This is a reminder that I'm not in a car or in front of a screen. Seems very basic, though it goes very deep. And I can not only notice, I can actually appreciate admire the colors, the textures, what looks appetizing. We often say that we eat with our eyes. I know that's true for me too, when I go into a bakery or something. And already just looking at my food, maybe it's true for you, I sense my salivary glands are activating. And I can even take some time now and bring this to my nose and enjoy the odors. And it's interesting, as I turn the bowl, there are different highlights in the sense. The sense of smell is directly related to the sense of taste, which we'll get to later, but just as an interesting tidbit, we taste what we smell. I'll go into that maybe another time. And as I'm holding my bowl, this is waking up the sense of touch. And before we actually touch the food into our mouth, we're actually gonna just hold it on our lips and notice the sense of anticipation. The first time I did this was in a mindfulness meditation where they gave us just one raisin. And we had to hold the raisin on our lips before putting it in the mouth. I'm just noticing how much information comes from the lips. I've put my spoon down just to continue talking. You can feel free to continue. And then before you actually put it in the mouth, maybe just the tip of the tongue, allow the tip of the tongue to come into contact. Again, the sense of touch. And notice how much wakes up just from this little bit of information. And then allow it to go into the mouth. And please continue exploring the sense of texture, touch, by noticing as you bite down, invite to bite down relatively slowly, and allow this item, or these items, to travel throughout the mouth, right side, left side, and notice how different bites reveal different tastes, different textures, and also different regions of the mouth are responsible for sweet, salty, acid, and so on. And so texture is the sense of touch. We've explored the sense of taste. Maybe even if you're eating something crunchy, the sense of sound. You can continue exploring with a sense of sight and smell. And you can even give it an extra layer of nourishment by taking a breath in between each bite. If possible, put down the utensils between each bite or between various bites, whatever feels comfortable, and just enjoy a few breaths while you assimilate and relish in what you've just eaten before you continue to enjoy the next spoonful or forkful or handful. Breath by breath and bite by bite, we can extract what we call prana, which is in yogic terminology, the vital source of life. Breath is a vital source. The food and the water we ingest is a vital source. And as we do them together, we can allow combined benefit to extract from our nutrition the optimal, the ideal nourishment. Bon appétit!